Perception, that which is created in alignment with our desires for self, the world at large, and anticipated experience of this world and live it. But you have to be willing to make the mistakes in order to learn the structure. Control sometimes only has a certain amount of power. And so for my ego to feel so broken because it could not control an outcome means nothing. Sometimes you're only seeking this because it's only taking you closer to something else that you're seeking. What acts do you participate in order to kind of re-solidify your self-worth? There's just so much meaning you've given to this particular thing that you're unable to be indifferent about it. And what is that meaning that you've given to this particular thing? Also, there's also a level of embarrassment that comes with accepting certain things about ourselves. And I guess it's embarrassment would rather just. However, the only thing we can do is control things like how fast or slow we move on this raft, because the raft on its own, it's moving. Okay, you're not scared. You're very scared. The T is self-deception, which also can be translated as the ego. Whatever it wants, seek the opposite. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Untouched. Grab your cup of coffee to your drink and let's get talking and touching. Hi, my name is Kamagela Laka, and this is a show where we kind of touch on things that people like to kind of throw under the carpet. This is where we bring up the traumas. The only intention is to heal, and the only intention is to learn. The only intention is to grow. So this is basically what we're here to do. But before I rush into things, let's just kind of touch on the girl that has disappeared for a couple of months because she decided that she's going to take some time away for some silence and some isolation, with the intention of coming back a little bit better, with the intention of going to figure out certain things that she didn't understand, with the intention of going to grow and coming back a little bit better, just a teeny bit, because I do believe that a lot of time is required for a lot of change to take place, but enough change has taken place for me to come back and share. So I am back with a lot of sharing. And I have a couple of notes. And like by a couple I'm talking about like pages. Okay, I have a story that I'm going to share for you guys. I wrote a story. Okay, this was supposed to happen differently. I was supposed to basically narrate the story with visuals, kind of have the story and have my voice as a voiceover telling us the story. But then I was like, you know what, that's a lot of admin, and I realized that it's all the times that I put too much pressure on myself that I end up not doing certain things. So I decided that no more pressure, let's just do it. Let's learn on the way. Like, let's actually, because you know what it is, I realized that even when you're learning on the way, the mistakes that you make are easier to take because the fact that you're doing it kind of overshadows and clouds the mistakes, because you're more concerned with the fact that I did it. You're more concerned with the progression more than you are with the mistakes. But when there is little progression, there's more hyper focus, or there's more attention on the mistakes. I don't know where that comes from, child, but I guess it was part of it. Okay, so to jumpstart the conversation about growth, to jumpstart the conversation about isolation and kind of finding self, these are a couple of questions that I put together when I was finding myself in a little bit of a chokehold. I wouldn't call it a little bit of a chokehold, but I guess when I was finding myself a little bit lost, these are the couple of things that helped me find what it was that I was doing and what it was that was hindering my progression, and also the things that I kind of needed to pay attention to that I wasn't. Okay, like I used the question to summarize the topic as a way for you to self-introspect, and as a way for, I guess, anybody else to kind of be able to answer these questions for themselves, because these are questions I answered for myself. What do you seek? What is your predetermined destination? What does the lack thereof resemble? Meaning, what does the lack of your predetermined destination resemble, and what does it look like? What does your reality look like without it? Or what does your life or who you are look like when that isn't there, or when that is taken away, or when that is threatened? How does your ego show up during this time? I guess, yeah, that's very straightforward. Let's not dive into that. We'll dive into it when we speak about it. What do you idolize? What are you indifferent about? What do you think your unacclaimed work is? Unacclaimed, that means you did not give this duty to yourself. You did not claim this as part of your life purpose or journey. However, it somehow feels part of it. I guess this part is not a question, but the body can change, and just diving into that. What do you identify with? This is merely a statement, I guess, for the conversation. You find yourself in the acts you run away from. And then we're going to go ahead and speak about a brain jump start. Well, a perspective that could be viewed as a brain jump start. Okay, so what do you seek? That means what are What do you wake up and go look for? What do you wake up and think about? Every single morning when you wake up, what's the first thought that comes to mind? What is it that you wake up and think about? Those things that you wake up and think about usually determine how the rest of your day looks, or what the rest of your day will comprise of, right? In the sense that our predetermined destinations also kind of stand in the way of us seeing opportunities that may be right in front of us. So what is your predetermined destination? Because sometimes you're too focused on going there and or achieving that goal that you don't see the little pockets of opportunities, or the little pockets of growth, or the little blessings that have been put on the way, just because you're so focused on one particular thing. And sometimes when you're so focused on that predetermined destination, when it does not come, the entire journey becomes futile. You did not see the worth of the entire journey. You only found worth in the destination, compared to if you took the whole journey as something to learn from all the time. Then even if the outcome isn't what you had planned for, or were hoping for, or had expected, you still appreciate the journey, because you see that there are some things that you took from the journey that you potentially wouldn't have received if you had not taken this journey from the start. So what are your predetermined destinations? What is it that you seek every day that sometimes when you don't get that thing that you seek every day, you're unable to see purpose in the rest of your life? You're unable to see worth in the rest of your everyday. And I think it paves the way to teach ourselves acceptance, because it is when our predetermined destinations are not, I'll say, fulfilled, or when we don't achieve them, that we are forced to accept the fact that sometimes what it is that we seek and what it is that we want for ourselves is not that which is meant for us, you know. And unfortunately, feelings such as acceptance and feelings such as disappointment are meant to be experienced. This is something that every single human is supposed to go through. So it just so happened that this project you were working so hard on was that thing that had to teach you acceptance, that had to teach you how control sometimes only has a certain amount of power. And I'm speaking about acceptance because acceptance is the doorway to freedom. And I would like to say it is the doorway to freedom, because I realize that most of the time we want to control a lot of things in our lives and control a lot of things happening around our lives. That means we want to control how people handle us. We want to control how people move around us, and which is good, and I guess that's where the boundaries part of things come in. But at the end of the day, you cannot control it. You actually cannot control or choose how someone shows up in front of you or shows up towards you. So there's a level of acceptance that is needed there's a level of acceptance that is needed in order to fully be content and fully understand that what it is you seek will not require too much control as well. And I also feel like when you also get to realize that the things that are meant for you and things that align with your journey won't require too much control, you will understand that majority of the time the things that you're trying to control are things that don't want to be controlled, and hence even when you try to control them, they don't get controlled. If anything, you become the problem for trying to control them. I guess it's kind of like there's no point in running away from things, you know. Another reason why we suffer in life is because we dilly-dally a lot. We try and act like what we're seeing is not what we're seeing. Show me it's right in front of you. Stop playing hide and seek with the truth, because the truth never plays hide and seek with us. And that's the thing about being human too. We like to dilly-dally. We like to delulu ourselves. We like to act like we don't see it. You know why? Because whatever's happening in front of us at that time is great. So let's just go with whatever it is, just so that this does not change, or whatever it is does not become unstable. So we'll dilly-dally. You know, I'll act like I don't know that I don't feel you. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'll act like I don't know that I'm actually talking to someone else. Or I'll act like I don't know that I can communicate, but I'll act like I have communication problems. You know, it's stuff like that that will show you that you're trying to control an element in life that does not want to be controlled. And because that element does not want to be controlled, it will do anything to not be controlled. Like, have you tried to control the wind? Please. You have to alter. And it is when we accept that life is exactly like this and every other component of life is exactly like this, that you start to accept the fact that you accept the freedom that's been given on your plate by things being like that too. Like, you not necessarily being able to control the rest of the world allows you to have freedom, because that means the rest of the world can't control you. And oh, isn't that great? Because Sana, ain't nobody want to be controlled. So you see it? So it's kind of like, let's let go of that for sure. For a fact, let's let go of the control. Okay, I think I actually said everything there. Another thing is, when it comes to accepting your predetermined destination, is that you need to also ask yourself, who laid down the foundation for this predetermined destination? Who laid down the blueprint for this way of thinking? Because I'd like to say that a lot of the ways we think and a lot of the beliefs that we have are because our parents said this is how things work, or this is how things worked for them. And because people come from different backgrounds, we have people with beliefs that they think is theirs but really isn't theirs. And it's only when you really dive deep into conversation with these people that even they start to realize that a lot of their beliefs are society's belief. A lot of their beliefs are what they had to believe in order to remain relatable, or in order to come across as respectable for, I guess, their community or family. There's a lot of things that really paint our predetermined destination. And I think mine started being the trajectory of my career. Like, I was literally just doing videos and putting them up, and then I started getting like work such as wigs, for example, and I took them because for me it was like, this is kind of like the brand work that I'm getting. Like, so in that time frame, it was no, this is just part of the journey, let's go. But then I did not see how this was kind of playing out the predetermined destination of what my understanding of beauty was. And my understanding of beauty, I wouldn't actually say my understanding of beauty was wigs, to be quite honest. I almost swore, but it's kind of like, why are you going to be, why? It's kind of like, why do you have to swear for emphasis? It doesn't matter. We learn every day, we grow every day, period. What was I saying? Oh yeah, like, so my predetermined destination with the wig situation is that the trajectory of my career, in my online career, my digital career, led me towards wigs. And when I was in it, I found myself being so called to it, in the sense that like it required a lot of my time, because so much work related to the hair was kind of being thrown on my table. And because that I was pouring energy into it. At the end of the day, even if it's not something that I wanted, that's where I was pouring energy. And wherever you pour energy, it will grow. Whatever you pour energy into will grow. So I was getting more work related to wigs just because I was putting out videos related to wigs. It doesn't matter how I felt internally about the wigs. It's just the fact that that's what I was putting out. That's what was being poured back. And that's the other thing about life, is that life sometimes doesn't care what you really believe in your heart or who you believe you are in your heart. Life really just works with, you get what you're pouring in. Like, you really get what you put out. You get out what you put in. So I was putting energy into putting out hair videos, and the company said, oh, come give us more. And then I said, I don't think this is where I want to be. Sorry, I think I took the wrong journey. I think I took the wrong path, because first of all, I don't think I was ready for my hairline to recede. Tell me why. It wasn't that bad, but I thought it was like halfway through. I said, I can't. So anyway, I know for a fact that a lot of it is also because of my sister. She got a lot of hair deals, and she was literally getting paid deals from these hair companies. And I remember thinking to myself at a point when I wasn't even getting paid deals on YouTube or anything like that, I was like, you know what? I told myself that, oh, I'll get hair when I also get deals. I'll also like learn how to do hair. But then it's kind of like, I got money, but my money would go to other things. My money came, and I did not once think of buying hair. I bought reels. That was so validating for me, and I had to take that in. Girl, you already bought reels. Do you know what I like? What I like the most is how I love that about myself. Like, after I thought about the fact that I bought wheels, I was like, girl, that's some crazy shit. Why the fuck are you walking around buying wheels, dog? But I'm also just like, because that's the type of Hannah I am. And every single time I remember that that's the type of Hannah I am, it reminds me to step into my power. Because it says, girl, who you know that's going to walk around buying wheels? Who you know? Because I know people are going to jump and go buy a luxury bag. Now, I've never not once got cash in my hands and thought about going to Louis V. I'm not a, yeah, it is Louis V, ne? I don't know why in that moment it even felt weird. Like, I felt like I said it wrong. Like, I felt like I pronounced it wrong. But anyway, because I'm not that girl. And I think I need to accept that I'm not that girl. And I need to stop getting around people that are attracted to those girls. Because they come around me and want to see that on me. No, because honestly, like, do you know what the other thing about life is that you really make life hard for yourself when you come around people that validate the fact that you're not the girl you think you are. And people validate that in so many ways. Like, an easy example is somebody being into wigs, and then whenever you have braids, they don't compliment you as much as they would when you have a wig on. Like, you don't think it's a clear that you actually don't like my braids? Like, I think it's very clear because you don't compliment me as much. You don't treat me the same way. Like, Sana, let me tell you something. Don't get around people that make it hard for you to be yourself, bro. Because people that make it hard for you to be yourself will make your everyday reality a living hell. That's an exaggeration. But I exaggerated it just for emphasis. Like, I can't swear now for emphasis. Yeah, like, I'm just saying that because it's kind of like when someone consistently has the opportunity to tell you how not so great you are, like, you're gonna start thinking that about yourself. You're really gonna start viewing yourself like that. Like, if every single time you're pulling through to be like, hey, I don't know, nah, and they say, yay, and the one day when you are the furthest away from yourself, they're like, I don't want any of that clapping. I don't want any of it then. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because you should be coming around people that push you to become more of yourself. Like, when you say, hey, I don't like wigs, they should be like, dude, don't wear this thing. Take it off. Let's go take it off. Why? When you say I'm uncomfortable, they should be like, yeah, dude, take it off. Be comfortable. Why are you still on it? Like, that we can do something about it. Like, and when you kind of like, yeah, like, you know, or someone saying, yo, I'm very conscious of this thing. They mustn't say, yeah, no, hide like this. They must say, no, it's okay, love it. Like, it's okay, you're good. Nobody's gonna care. You know, come around people like that. Come around people that make you feel good for just being who you are, as you are. Not people you have to kind of alter a little bit or change a little bit or put up a show, put up a personality just so that you can be appealing for them, so that you can be good enough to be around them. What a habit to him. Okay, what does the lack thereof of your predetermined destination resemble? What do you do when your predetermined destination does not come? So when what it is you thought was going to work doesn't work, what does that mean? What does that look like? Do you wallow, sit in your bed the whole day? Because I know how to do that very well. Do you starve yourself? Do you become addicted to a little bit of substances? Do you drink away your problems? What do you do when, you know, that project, when that thing does not happen? How does you giving up look like? How does your give up kamo look like? I'm going to tell you what give up kamo looks like. Give up kamo is so nasty. Give up kamo is so I don't like give up kamo. I don't like that girl. Give up kamo is whack. Yo, give up kamo is boring. Like, I don't want to meet that girl in many years, but I know I need to meet her often in order to be able to get rid of her. I had so many questions. I feel like I've been talking so much. Let me first sort out the lighting. I'll be back. What does your lack thereof of your predetermined destination resemble? That's something that I picked up on about myself, is that when when there is a lack of my predetermined destination, it shows up in my self-care sometimes. Instead of me, like, on a day where I could do my edges and just kind of sit the whole day but with my edges done, on those particular days where I feel like the lack of my predetermined destination means that my whole life is worthless, then I don't do my edges. And I think that's also part of the reason that we need to learn how to accept that which happens around us, so that our inability to accept certain things does not stand in our way or stand in the way of our progression. Because sometimes all we have to do is understand something and we could have just moved on with our life. But sometimes we make it harder for ourselves to move on when we don't want to accept certain things that are really just in your face. Like, sometimes you don't really have to search too much for the answer. Sometimes you really don't even have to look. It's really just in your face. So what acts do you participate in order to kind of re-solidify your self-worth? So another thing I realized about myself is that whenever I go through a situation that I don't necessarily enjoy, I go back home and I treat myself in a way that re-solidifies that treatment that I received. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because I do think that, like, when you come out of any place where you feel like there's a lot of growth you need to do from that point, I don't think you should be shy about it. But I think society has taught people to be shy about it. But I think I'm speaking about it because I know that sometimes when people don't necessarily achieve the things that they had planned for themselves, like if you told yourself that you're going to get this degree by the end of these years, when that does not happen, what does the lack of that predetermined destination look like? The self-care stops. Why is the self-care stopping? Because that achievement that did not come translated as a complete lack in your life, or it translated as a lack of purpose. And so you went back home and you revalidated that idea by also just wallowing and sitting and not having a sense of purpose. And so I feel like in life we also kind of need to be wary about how we act when certain things does not happen for us, or the things that we had planned to happen don't happen, because sometimes we are the reason progression does not occur in our lives. Because just because this person said no doesn't mean everyone after that is going to say no, but because you internalized that no so much and you personalized it so much, you went back home and you found every way you could to revalidate that no, which was you stopped creating. You stopped doing anything that meant potentially receiving rejection in any manner, just because of that one experience. And sometimes it's because of a lack of acceptance. It's because you want to control everything so much that when you experience a sense of lack of control, you lose everything. Like, you don't even know how to be okay anymore. Like shit hits the fan. You understand what I'm saying? And it's kind of like you're too little of a fragment in life to want to even control anything, or to even feel like you have, or even have an expectation of having control. Have you guys seen that wallpaper? Have you guys seen that iPhone wallpaper? The one where you have the whole globe on your thing. Like, it's the space one where you can see the I guess your country or where you're from, and then you can also see the ocean. It's like a space view. So now I had that at a point on my wallpaper, and when I had that on my wallpaper, it just made me feel so little. It made me feel like I'm such a little thing in such a big world. And so for my ego to feel so broken because it could not control an outcome means nothing. And it is about time I learned that, in general, because what's left if I don't? Just turmoil, because I'm just going to keep fighting my inability to control the whole world, Sana. You know what I mean? Okay, how does your ego show up during this time? I basically already touched on the ego. Like, our egos feel like they want to control everything, and that's why when you are faced with a no, you're shaking. It's like, you said what? And I think that's actually something I struggle with. I struggle with the no's a lot, actually. And I think it's also because I got no's often in my life. So now when I get a no, I'm just like, you know what I mean? It triggers me. And honestly, you have to really accept no's and respect no's, because for that person's reality, that no is very valid for them and very justified, Also, and who are you to kind of walk into a person's life and want to kind of like say, because I'm in your life, this is how things must go? Who are you? That's, yeah. Deflate that ego a little bit. Just a tiny little bit. Also, what do mistakes translate as to your ego? Mistakes to my ego translate as failure. You failed. You are so worthless. You are such a failure. Sit down. You, corner. Go to the corner. Go to the silent corner. I guess that's just for me. And I'm not necessarily saying it's supposed to be like that for everybody. But that's mine. That's just how. Guys, I really tried this, like, I can't say I was trying a new hairstyle. I've done it before. Today, however, these curls do not necessarily come out the same way. Not even curls, but it's like these falls. They didn't come out how they usually do. But yeah, it doesn't really matter, does it? No, it doesn't. I guess I don't know. I guess I just felt the need to speak on it a little bit. But yeah. Anyway, what was it? Yeah. Do you guys want to see my shirt? Let me show you guys my shirt. My shirt is so cute. I'm just feeling cold, so I hid the top. Because I wanted to kind of like keep the cardigan closed and warmth. But this is the top. I think it's absolutely adorable. I think it's the cutest thing ever. But I closed it, because of the weather. Why am I getting off for you guys? Why am I getting naked for you guys? Am I getting comfortable and vulnerable with you guys? Are you guys ready to? It's a joke, yeah. It's a joke. So yeah, what do mistakes translate as to your ego? I think for my ego, they translate as failure. And I learned that I never make mistakes. I never not make mistakes. I am always making mistakes. And I literally I realized that later by myself. Like, every single time I am starting anything, whether it's a project, an assignment, I don't know, whatever it is, when I go there and I put my name, I'm going to make a mistake. When I go there and I put the date, I'm going to make a mistake. I need to cancel something out. I need to show that I'm here on this paper. My energy has to show that it's present. And I realized that the one way my energy shows its presence is with mistakes. I have to make some form of a mistake. And after I make that mistake, I don't make mistakes. But I have to first make it. That's supposed to be like, hey, I'm here. And then we can rock. I don't get it. But it's after, I think I'm going to say how I got it even into that mindset. I think something was happening that day and I was just making a lot of mistakes. And I think I did it again and I was just like, of course, it's not you. It's not you, Kamo, if you don't make a mistake. And when you say those things in passing because you're speaking to yourself like and you're alone. But after I said that, I was like, that's so real. That's really me. Like, I need to make a mistake first and then I get it perfect. And after that perception, I no longer had an issue with mistakes. I saw my mistakes as part of the journey. I see them as, I don't know how else to progress if I don't do this first. You know what I mean? Okay, what do you idolize? And I'm going to try and pick up the pace. What do you idolize? Like, what do you look up to? Because whatever you look up to will determine the type of things that you do and interact with and engage in and allow to happen to you too. Easiest example, I'm a sucker for love. So I'm the type of person that, like, you can treat me badly and I'll easily overlook it just because I care more about us staying in love. But when you are dealing with someone else that is not a sucker for love, for example, maybe they are more, I don't know, centered around, okay, easy one is their job. Maybe they push their job more than anything. Yeah, so sometimes that means that person you'll find that you can't go and have dinner with your partner because they're going to have a meeting with their board of directors or their manager, whatever, and they have to. And they also change a little bit of their character when they go and do this because that's what they're seeking, isn't it? That's their predetermined destination. So if it means altering, if it means becoming someone different to get what it is that their heart seeks, they will. And I guess that's why the first question was, what do you seek? What is your predetermined destination? Because that ultimately showcases the things you also idolize. Because if you could not answer that question, but you can answer this, you can still see the relation, like what it is that you idolize. If, for example, you idolize people that you see on YouTube, you idolize people that you see on TikTok, chances are you are also in the background trying to do TikTok. You're trying to put content together. That's what you're doing. Or if you are someone, myself, I idolize people that are able to inspire and motivate a lot of people, that are able to be listened to and heard, and that are able to make an impact. I love that a lot. So when I see that, I want to do that, and that's why I enjoy sharing my opinion. So whatever it is you idolize, you will slowly try and become, and you will slowly alter and change and maneuver things around you to push and achieve that objective, or become whatever it is, or that you idolize, or align with it, whatever it is that you idolize. So maybe you didn't realize, but you idolize clout, and that's why whenever you see anybody with clout, you leave your friends behind. You know what I mean? And stuff like that. Or that's why whenever there's anybody with clout, you forget the fact that you came to an event with people. Now you are alone. You want to move on your own, one man. You know what I mean? Because of the benefit of that thing for you. And personally, everybody does things in life because there's a benefit for them. Hence why they're doing it. So it's kind of like, what do you benefit from that thing that you idolize? And is that thing what you want? And is that thing what you seek? Or is it what it is that you have to seek for the sake of another predetermined destination that you're seeking? So it's kind of like, sometimes you're only seeking this because it's only taking you closer to something else that you're seeking. You know, that's where the word using other people comes in. But I guess in this video, we're not using the word using people. Just because when you use certain words, people become defensive. But when you use certain words like, what do you seek? What do you idolize? It's like, what do I seek? But if I said to you, what do you seek and who do you use in order to get it? It'd be like, yo, what is that? It's so hostile. That's some hostile content. Click out of it. Anyway, what are you indifferent about? What you are indifferent about will show you how you are able to have acceptance. Okay, the things you're indifferent about will show you that it's not that you're unable to accept reality or to accept the truth or to live with that which you don't enjoy. It's just in this instance, you just really, really want that thing so bad that you can't be indifferent about it. But there are things you're indifferent about, like that girl that you don't like, so much so that when she passes, you don't even look in her direction just because you don't want her to think you're looking at her. That's a bad example because that's a clear sign of caring. I don't know how to explain the indifference part, but I think what you're indifferent about will show you how you have the capacity to be indifferent. But there's just so much meaning you've given to this particular thing that you're unable to be indifferent about it. And what is that meaning that you've given to this particular thing? And then what do you think your unacclaimed work is? And I have a couple of questions. They're not questions, but this is what I think our unacclaimed work is on earth as humans. I said our ego, our faces, our denials, our perceived truths. So I believe that on earth, we're here to work on our ego, those things that we believe are, that inflates us, that makes us feel like we're better than everybody, that makes us feel like we're a star among others. We are here to work on that because you're not. You are a little fragment of your imagination, really, and everybody else's imagination. So calm down, deflate it. No, actually, just because, no, not because I'm trying to be mean, Babo. Not because I'm trying to be mean, just because it is, just because reality is like that though. Like it's like that though. Like we actually have to work on our ego though. You know, it's like that though. But it's like that though. I'm done. Our faces are People are deceitful, okay? People are very deceitful, and even if someone says they're not deceitful, they are. Your ability to show up, to show a different face to your mom, and show a different face to your dad, and show a different face to your friend, and show a different face to your colleague, boss, lecturer, all those faces are just all those faces hide our inability to lie and manipulate through our faces. And I also do think that's part of our work. I think part of our work is learning how to just be real with all of our faces, like, and how not to use any of our faces to control. Because sometimes you will use a sad face to make it seem like you're sad about the fact that you don't know why you're not trying hard enough to do well at school or to do better at work. Like, you know why you're not doing it. You don't want it. You know what I mean? But as humans, when someone comes and says, why are you not studying? Why are you failing? Why are you not serious? We're going to say, ish, I don't know. You know, just say what your problem is. Just say what your problem is. You know what I mean? So our faces, our denials is that say what your problem is. Why is it hard for you to accept the truth that is in our face? Our denials. Why is it hard to accept that you have communication problems? Why is it hard that you have a victim mentality? Why is it hard to accept that, yes, you have communication issues? Why is it hard to accept that why is it hard to accept that, yes, you might be a mean girl? Why is it hard to accept that, yes, maybe you are a cloud chaser? Why is it hard to accept that maybe you choose people's sides based off of whether or not you benefit from choosing their side or not? You know, our denials. The things that we don't want to face about ourselves, but it really is the truth about ourselves. But we just don't like facing it because there's a level of accountability that's required. And I guess there's also a level of embarrassment that comes with accepting certain things about ourselves. And I guess it's embarrassment we'd rather just put to the side for as long as we can. And lastly, our perceived truths. Our perceived truths which go against our tide. So what it is that we believe is meant for us, what it is that we believe is part of our journey, is our destiny, but really that's just how we delude ourselves because it's actually just a predetermined destination. So I believe that all humans are already on a wave. We're already on a wave that we're riding. We're already on a tide that we're riding. We already have a journey that we're on. However, when we're here, we come here and want to control that journey fully. We want to determine that, okay, we're going left now, but we forget that we are on a raft and the wind also plays a role in the direction that the raft moves. However, the only thing we can do is control things like how fast or slow we move on this raft, because the raft on its own, it's moving. And so I think that our perceived truths is what we think is part of our journey, or what we have said is, or what we tell ourselves is our truth, but really, or is part of our tide, or is part of our journey. But it's those things that life comes to tell you later on that no, this is not your journey, or no, this is not part of your journey. You know, I think we're here to also work on that, because then it's only after multiple truths have been rejected and proven as false that you come to realize that there's only a little control that you have, and then life becomes easier because now you're willing to ride the roller coaster because you accept that you're already on one, instead of focusing on how to get off it when you're already on it, or focusing on how you can get on the next roller coaster when that roller coaster is clearly not going to be when that roller coaster is clearly there. You're clearly here and yours is already moving, so how do you get off? And that's why whenever you try and go against your tide, there's resistance, because where are you going? Just tell me where you're going though. The body and change. I'm going to read it as I've written it. The body and change. The body adapts to conditions. You don't leave hard places because you've grown thick skin. You could have stayed soft if you didn't settle in the hard place when searching for comfort. Sometimes our comfort is further down the line. Learn it just as it learns you. What? Oh, learn the body just as it learns you. Gosh, you almost confused me there. That's the problem about being someone that I'd like to say I'm poetic. That's the problem about being poetic sometimes. You write some stuff and then when you come back to read it, you're like, wait, what was running in your mind at the time? What metaphor and what simile came together? You feel me? But yeah, and I think that was very self-explanatory, and I don't even think I need to go too much into it. Hence, I even read it because I was like, that's very just, it's right there. Like when you get into a place that's not good for you, the longer you stay, the harder it is to leave. Yeah, I can't make that example with a good place. It's just the human anatomy, the human body is built in such a way that it is its own working mechanism, its own working machine. That's why if you teach your body to wake up every day, cook, clean, shower, it's going to get to a point where in the morning, even when you don't feel like doing anything, you'll just see yourself get out of the bed, cook, clean, and shower. But if you teach yourself that every day you wake up and you stay in bed, it's going to be hard for you to one day wake up in the morning and not stay in bed. You're not used to that, and the body wakes up and goes into autopilot. It goes into autopilot and does what it has been doing for years. That's why sometimes like you can easily not be here, but your body is still doing things because it's alive and on autopilot based off of the patterns you've hardwired into it. So the body adapts, and if you don't want to be accustomed to horrible treatment, don't stay too long in that place. If you can't change that place, leave the place. Okay, what do you identify with? The core of your souls carry your actions, which lead and direct us, and it paves your perception as well. That says a lot. I wrote it in such disjointed words that when I just read it, it made sense. But exactly that. What do you identify with? In the sense that what do you see and feel alive? What do you come alive with? Like whenever you are around this person, you feel like this. Or whenever you're around this type of situation, you feel like this. When do you come alive? Because that is when you'll be able to identify what are the things you like, what are the things you're interested in. I went months without like shooting, editing, and all of filming, all of nothing related to content creation. And I remember there was a day when I was just sitting on my bed and I'm like, dude, just shoot it. You don't have to post it. Just put it out there and speak. And I remember I had so many, is it dopamine, endorphins? What are those feelings? What are those serotonin? What are those hormones that are released? Feel good emotions. Anyway, all that serotonin. I don't know. It was all I literally always mix them up, dopamine and serotonin. But point is, all of those were released. Those feel good emotions were released into my body the whole day, just from the act of trying it. Or just from engaging in something that I enjoyed. Even if it wasn't for somebody else consuming it, it's just for me to be in that act. I enjoyed it. So maybe for you being in certain acts makes you really feel alive. And so you need to find those things, because that way you will see why you do the things you do, or why you don't do the things you do, or why you're into the things you are into, or what it is you must do in order to have a more fulfilled life or a more enjoyable life, you know? This one says, you find yourself in the acts you run away from. I guess I run away from things like cooking. I find myself in the act of cooking because I realized when I was consistently cooking that I don't have a problem with cooking. I have a problem with bland food. I cook bland food. And I cook bland food because I'm not interested in cooking. And because I'm not interested in cooking, when I do cook, I don't put in effort. Wow. I just realized something in that moment. People don't put in effort when they're not interested in something. When someone does not show interest in you, when someone does not show effort in you, they're not interested in you. Sorry, I said that because I think that's something I was battling with someone that's currently in my life right now. They're not showing me effort, and yet they're saying they're about me and they're interested in me. So, and then I get to papai. So I just remembered, no, because real, like genuinely, you find yourself in the acts that you run away from. Like you will really find out a lot about yourself when you decide to do that thing you don't want to do for yourself. Like when you decide to cook for yourself, when you decide to clean up after yourself, when you decide to stop getting someone to come and clean your home and you do it on your own, you will find yourself in those moments because you are engaging in an act that you don't want to engage in. But when you do engage in it, you force your brain to create and form different neural pathways, because where it previously did not ever penetrate, which were it never engaged in this act, it is now penetrating. And by penetrating through it, it's definitely finding new paths it has never encountered. So there is no way that you won't realize something about yourself in that moment, because you're walking down a journey you've never walked. And why wouldn't that gallery have pictures you've never seen before? Because you've never walked down that alley. You're only walking down the alley of what? Eating noodles every day because you don't want to cook and because you hate cooking. Or well, you'll never realize that you actually really love cabbage. And you actually really love cabbage with soy sauce. And you actually really love cabbage in rice and fried rice. You know, how are you going to know? If you me every day, when I got pie, got over not of a pay. Abo? Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. And then we have a brain jump start, and that is actually the conclusion. This is basically the brain jump start, and they're arrows. There's view equals your want, equals your worry, equals your thoughts, equals what you do. And then your view also equals your predetermined destination. So I guess it's jumpstart your view, jumpstart your perception. That will determine what it is that you want for yourself. Also, what you want determines your worry. And you won't have to do things that are maybe even outside of your comfort zone just for the sake of a predetermined destination. This is how the story was supposed to start. The story was supposed to start like this. I took a journey to silence and isolation, and this is what they had to say. Yabo, doesn't that sound good? I'm going to start it like that. Yo. I just found another thing. You become your environment. Where you go, you want to stay. Humans are likely to alter what is required in the name of adaptation to stay. The brain will develop mechanisms to sustain new conditions when the choice to stay is made. The body is also living, hence it is hard to change it. You're going against an already moving train. You need a lot of force to change it, the energy and direction of that particular flow. So choose where you let your body alter its frequency, for you teach yourself new values too. Our destination in life is highly aligned and intertwined with the things we identify with, for they resonate with the core of our souls. Souls which carry both dynamite and gold, and you get to decide which is which with your actions and perception. Dynamite means evil, gold is good. Perception, that which is created in alignment with our desires for self, the world at large, and anticipated experience of this world and living. Girl. Let me see what else I did not say, chat. Okay, so now this is about judgment. Basically what I'm saying here about judgment is, we like to say people do crazy things for clout, people do crazy things for money, but you do crazy things for your predetermined destination. My sake would be love. Is it not just as undesirable? Because it actually is. It really, really is. That's why they say don't judge. Okay, did I even tell you guys what silence taught me? I feel like I just said so much, so let me read this part. Silence, self-love. Make the mistake but learn the structure. Try more than once. I'll come back. I'll clarify all of this after. Let me just read it. You can self-teach. By the way, Bobby showed me a girl that would read her journal. And I didn't think reading your journal was... I felt like it was... Excuse me. I felt like reading the things you write made it too vulnerable. And I didn't want vulnerability to get that close to me. But I'm realizing that I actually really articulate myself well when I use words compared to when I come and use my voice. And I think it's because the first time I learned to express was through words, because I was never able to say, hey, I feel sad. I was always able to say, hey. Okay, you can self-teach. You leave to search for love and community and entertainment, but fail to first drink a cup of your love. Oh, son. And that's why it's said people will only meet you at levels they have met themselves. Self-love. You learn how hard to please you are. Self-help equals to self-love. Okay, yeah, I remember what I was saying here. So, when you sit in silence and when you sit with yourself for a while, you realize how hard it is to please you as an individual. You realize how hard of an individual you are to please. Because when you sit in silence with yourself, you realize how often you think about how the dishes are dirty, how often you think about how you should get up and do this and that and that. And then you realize how you pour all of that onto another human being when you guys are in a relationship or when you guys are together. And you realize that actually I need a lot, because what you desire from another human being is actually the ways in which you don't actually show up for yourself. Because, easy example, why do you need me to cook for you? You only need me to cook for you because you're unable to cook for yourself. You're unable to show up for yourself in that manner. And so you need a replacement. You need something else to come and fulfill that duty. That lack has to be filled by something else. And that is where women usually come in for men. So I guess when you pour into your own cup, you realize the things about yourself that you you end up, the resolution to certain things that we use is, I guess, other humans and other people's skills and other humans' abilities, because we don't have those skills and we don't have those abilities. So rather we outsource them. And so that's when you'll find us using other humans or keeping people in our lives just because they're helping us on our journey. And then once we're done with them, I'm just saying, Also, you need to learn how to love yourself. You don't get there and know, but you have to be willing to make the mistakes in order to learn the structure. You need to be willing to learn that you hate waking up and reading a book, because you have to have done it first. And then you also have to realize that you hate waking up and going to run, but you have to have tried it. And then only for you to go and realize that you enjoy waking up, stretching, having breakfast, and then only having your gym session later. But you need to be willing and wanting to engage in self-love practices in order to learn how to structure self-love for yourself, because self-love looks different for people. Like, some people enjoy early mornings, some people don't. Some people enjoy evenings where they wind down and they have a glass of wine, candles, they read and just chill. Some people don't like that. Maybe their wind downs incorporate a shower, a movie, I don't know, popcorn. It looks different for different people, but the only way you find out what it looks like is by engaging with self. And the only way you engage with self is giving time to self. And the only way to give time to self is to actually give time to self. That means if this would have been a time where you were like, yo, let's hang out, say, yo, self, let's hang out and sit. If you get bored, that means you're boring. That means you're boring. Wena self wabora. Because why are you unable to sit with yourself? Why do you need external entertainment for you to feel content and at ease? That means there's a part of you that you are unable to accept. That's why you are unable to sit with yourself. Because why are you not sitting with yourself, but you're able to sit with everybody else? And if anything, you want to sit with everybody else. You enjoy everybody else, but you don't enjoy you. Why? And majority of the time, you don't enjoy you because you're running away from the parts of yourself that require accountability. So you'd rather run away from them, because every time you have to sit alone, you're going to have to first face them. Because one thing about yourself, you will not delulu yourself. That's why when you're alone, you will cry about that friend, or you will cry about that situation that never worked out. Because when you're alone, the truth comes out and it stands in front of you like, you ignored me today. Why did you ignore me today? Why did you act like I was not in front of you? Why did you lie to that girl? Why did you act like you did not feel like this when that girl asked you if you wanted this? You didn't want it. Why did you take it? Why did you help her with that thing? Because I didn't want to do it. Why did you make us do that thing? The truth stands in front of you every single day and says, so what happened today? So you will think about it, and it's easier to not spend time with yourself, because then you don't have to face your own self-judgment. Judgment day is every day for all of us. And it's within, because the truth is always present. We always know the truth even when we act like we don't know it. And that's why I'm asking you, what do you seek? What is your predetermined destination? Because even if you're saying you don't know what you do, and even when you act like you don't know what you do, it's just maybe you're not ready to accept that that is your predetermined destination, or that is your reality. Like, for example, with me, I was kind of told that I have a victim mentality. I wasn't ready for that, because I don't believe I have a victim mentality. I believe I have a survivor's mentality, because if anything, I was always a victim, and I was able to stand up. But you see how defensive I'm getting. Definitely signs of a victim mentality, because why are you mad then if you're not a victim? Like, it's like that video of that child that was on a slide. When he got off the slide, he got out the slide and he said, they kept on saying to him, he's scared. He goes, I'm not scared. Okay, you're not scared. You're very scared. So it's kind of like that, like, So Elin Nakere. Show me. Just accept, show him. It's in your face. It's in your face. It's in your face. And also, accept that you're also the problem. Like, I had to accept that I'm the problem. I had to accept that I actually really enjoy feeling like the world is against me. But that's because that's all I know. Like, that's why it's like, don't stay too long in a place. The body gets used to staying in that place. And the body will find a way to revalidate and re-solidify that state. Because the body is built in such a way that it's supposed to recycle what it learns. So if you're constantly teaching it how to be sad, it only wants sadness because that's what it has taught itself. That's how it has taught itself to run, So it's kind of like you need to find a way to step into it, because it never stops running, unfortunately. The same way time is also constant. That loop you've taught is always also constant, or the loop that your parents have taught you is always constant, is also always constant. I feel like I have so much still to say. Let me just try and see what else I want to say before I close this, because wow. Honestly, I really have said it. I just didn't tell you guys my story. Should I tell you guys my story now? Let me tell you guys my story now. I took a journey to silence and isolation, and this is what they had to say. I walked through the door, and the first thing they could smell were my predetermined destinations, and they told me to leave them at the door. So I took off my shoes, dirty and stained, on their white mat. As I entered the door, they asked me to drop my shoulders and take off my coat, the faces my ego has told me to wear, and the denials I have to keep raised on my shoulders. They asked if I'd like some tea, but I requested coffee instead. They asked how many sugars I took, and I said 3. She placed a cup of tea with no sugar in my hand and told me to pace myself whilst I drank it. She later told me to not mask the bitterness with a sweetener, but rather settle for a softer alternative, and with time, you'll begin to taste the sweetness in the alternative. Oh, Sana, I should have just read the story to you guys. Wow. She later told me to not mask the bitterness with a sweetener, but rather settle for a softer alternative, and with time, I'll begin to taste the sweetness in the alternative. They both walked out. I sat there. I finished the tea and got up. My coat, I took to grab it, but this time, I put it on my shoulder. What's this thing? Not shoulder, I put it here, on my elbow. What's this thing? My inner elbow. Put it there. I guess this is why I didn't read the story, child. But this time, I put it on my arm. Let's say arm. I put it on my arm. That ruined the story, didn't it? Sorry. They both walked out. I sat there. I finished the tea and got up. My coat, I took to grab it, but this time, I put it on my arm. For I am not going to war, and armor is not needed. The denials. They stayed at the table with the silence. Silence told them that even if they don't jump off this raft now, there's a waterfall at the end, for time is a tide that can't be moved, and that's where it was headed. Denials dislike moved, and that's where it was headed. Wait, denials? Oh. Okay. Denials dislike the water, for it brings truth and clarity. So they decided to stay. For denial separates the sand from the weeds. The shoes. Before I wore them, isolation came and asked me, how do you stay afloat in those? That's the end of the story. So the shoes were the predetermined destinations. The coat was the faces, the unacclaimed work, I guess, or the faces that we just kind of show up in, different faces that we have to show up as in life. The shoulders were denials that we face every single day. And the T, well, the T is self-deception, my favorite. The T is self-deception, which also can be translated as the ego. Whatever it wants, seek the opposite. Excuse me. I think I have to say that again for those that might have missed it. The T in the story is a reflection of self-deception, which is also a reflection or a depiction of the ego. And all I can say about the ego is whatever the ego wants, do the opposite. So in that moment, if the ego wants to fight because the ego is saying you're being disrespected, do the opposite. Yeah, if you didn't take anything from this whole video, whatever the ego wants, do the opposite. Take that. Try. But yeah, that's all I have to say for you guys. Thank you so much for joining. In this episode, we will not have a turntables just because there's so many things that I spoke about. But these were the teachings of silence and isolation. And I hope that you guys are able to take this, I guess, for whatever reason. Even if you're just listening because I'm yapping, that's perfectly fine. But if you guys would like more of these types of segments, I'm not going to say segments, but if you guys like this content, if you guys would like to see more of this content, do show me by maybe commenting, throw down a comment, throw down a like, I don't know, share with your friends, something, and then that will tell me that you like the vibe, and I will know to bring more of the vibe. But yeah, thank you so much for tuning in. And I don't know, my hairstyle kind of like changed throughout the video, and I don't like that, but it's okay. I think it's fine, you know. There's a mirror in front of me, that's why I'm busy like caring about how I look, to be really honest. But yeah, thank you so much, guys, and bye. Oh, last thing, your body communicates. Feelings are communication. That anxiety, it's not just anxiety, it's telling you something that your body is feeling or your soul is feeling. So another thing is, like, for example, if you wake up anxious, you must think there's something that is coming during the day that you maybe might need to sort out, or is there something that's coming that might cause anxiety in the day, or there's something that you're not sorting out that is needed today. But anxiety is communication. Your soul is trying to say something, and the soul doesn't speak, but it can communicate, and the only way it knows how to communicate is by releasing feelings, so that you can recognize the feelings and clock that, oh, there's something I need to do, something I didn't do. It's raining. That's my cue. That muffled is goodbye. I don't want to scream because I was going to scream it. I was going to be like, bah, make noise, but I didn't want to do that. So yeah, it's 2:30. I've been speaking. Bye, guys. Thank you guys for joining in. See you guys again, same place next time. Ciao.